Hi, I'm Tim Shaw. I'm the Chief Executive at KCOM. I want to spend some time today answering the questions I get from local people about the number of telegraph poles that are going up across this region. I think competition has really grown over the last, 5 or 6 years, not just in Hull, but across the UK. We've seen a huge number of new broadband providers spring up, really driven by the need for fibre infrastructure across the UK. From a KCOM Hull perspective, obviously KCOM did this in 2019. We invested over £100 million to fully fibre the city, and we were the first city in the UK to do so. But as more investment has come in, the opportunity to provide competition and choice, and we've seen that through a number of providers that have come up, we have seen more providers in the city, which is great. Competition is a good thing for consumers, for customers, and also for businesses to kind of really rethink how they need to go to market and drive innovation. What we are seeing though is the way these competitors are building their network differ. I think even in our city, you've got some competitors that are only building underground, and you've got others that are using poles. The decision on how they build their network is purely with the business themselves. It's a commercial one. And you can see that by even across the UK, many different operators have different decisions on how they want to build their network. So the decision is purely down to the business. If I think about KCOM's position, we've been willing to work with all providers in the area. I regularly meet with them, discuss what they're doing, and be really clear that we're willing to work with anybody. We have a clear process that people follow. But that decision to build your own infrastructure or use somebody else's is purely a commercial one made by the competition that have come into the city. In the same way that they have the same decision if they're outside of Hull. Do they use Openreach infrastructure or do they build their own? And people are making those choices all the time. And some of that will come down to the investment that their backers have made into the business and how they see the return on that investment coming through. Is it through different ways of using the asset they create, whether it's just through connecting customers or future rental of that network to somebody else, or something completely different in terms of where the market's moving to across the UK. All of that is something obviously KCOM can't influence. But as I said, we've always been very willing to share our network. We've got a very clear process. We've had a number of requests. We're progressing them. So we're very much at the table, willing to work with all these operators that are coming into Hull. I hear this a lot, and I speak to many people to clarify the position. It's fundamentally not true. We're under legal requirements to provide access to our network. I work closely with all of the operators in the area to make sure that's fully understood. Our process is very clearly documented. We spent a lot of time over the last 2 years really making sure that our process is understood by our customers. It can be followed, regular reporting, given it's a legal requirement, and Ofcom as a regulator will come in and ask how we're progressing. So our side, we are very clear when a request comes in, we have certain time to respond. The costs we provide back have to be done in a certain way, in line with the ATI requirements and the legal obligations, and Ofcom are there to make sure that we do everything we should, though we would do anyway, but just to give everyone that reassurance, this isn't KCOM making something up. We have guidelines we have to follow. So yes, I hear this a lot. It's just not true. We're willing to work. We understand the need for competition and choice for consumers, and we're not here to stop that. And hence why we've got processes and ways of working that we need to make sure our network, people accessing our network are doing it in a consistent way. That means we can continue to manage that and deliver the services that we do to the city in a way that is safe, reliable, and what we've done for the last 120 years. Absolutely not. We have a clear guidance on how we need to provide our pricing to any other operator or any other business. It's not just other operators. It could be other infrastructure providers need to access our infrastructure. We have a very clear guidance from Ofcom and how Openreach have done it. We follow the exactly same methodology to produce our pricing. That might not always mean it's the same price as Openreach, but we follow the same way of doing it because we are a very different business to Openreach. When people look at that cost, they have a choice to make. Is it for them more commercially advantaged to build their own network? Is it quicker for them to build their own network? That choice is purely with the operators or businesses that then look at that from a commercial. I can't influence that decision. All I know is from a KCOM perspective, we are providing transparent, clear pricing that's in line with our legal requirement and with our regulator to be able to offer our infrastructure. There's nothing stopping them using it. However, if they wish to build their own infrastructure that may be quicker to them to get to customers, then that is their choice alone, nothing to do with KCOM. Really good question, and I guess we're just operating under different regulation is the really simple answer. And if I try and help, just explain what that means. Our requirement and legal obligation is to provide pricing on a base of an application. So our process is very clear. An operator will say, I need to access this infrastructure. We'll take that away. We have a set time to respond against a set methodology and how our pricing works, and then the operator decides whether they wish to proceed or not. It's very much like if you decided to put an extension on your home, you'd ask a builder to come around, they'd send you a quote based on what you need, and then you'd make the decision based on that quote whether you proceed or don't proceed. It's exactly the same methodology that we have. So completely legally obliged to provide it, and that's how we do it. That's why it's very hard to present a price list, because we don't always know what everyone's going to use our network to do. So that's the fundamental reason. And I guess why is that different? Why is KCOM different to Openreach? Openreach operate nationally, we operate in one city, and the conditions in which Openreach provide that pricing is a very different situation to where we are here in Hull. So we have published and shared our methodology on how our pricing is calculated. The way that we provide access to our network is we require a very clear set of plans from each operator that wishes to use it. Then we provide transparent pricing back based on published methodology. We've had no complaints come through to KCOM at all. But if someone wasn't happy with either time or price, then the first step would be to raise a complaint to KCOM directly. We would then, from that date of receiving the complaint, have a set time period to resolve that complaint with that party, whoever that may be. If for whatever reason we cannot resolve that to both sides' kind of outcomes that they wish to receive, that operator would have the right to be able to raise that to Ofcom and then follow that through, and Ofcom would then take the decision to investigate and come and speak to us. So that is the process. That's very well publicised. It's because we're a regulated business, and that's the role of Ofcom if we can't resolve that ourselves. So I've spoken to many local people, customers around this very topic, and I reinforce all the things that KCOM are doing to try and resolve this, to try and work with everybody in the area, whether that's local councillors, MPs, the other operators, to really work together. This isn't something one person can solve. This is something that as a collective, we need to find a way through. And I think if you take a step back out of Hull and look across the UK, this is happening in many other areas for the same reasons. So this isn't a Hull specific issue that we're trying to solve. It's a much more UK-wide problem with the drive for faster broadband and more competition. And this is something that we're working across the UK to resolve, and we're connecting in with how other areas are dealing with this as well. Certainly I am, in terms of what that means. I will continue to do whatever I can as KCOM and personally to continue to make sure this topic is resolved over the coming months. We've received no complaints from any other operator in the area. We have a very clear published process and a very clear complaints process, and obviously being a regulated business, there's if we can't resolve anything, that they have the option to raise that with Ofcom. We've received requests, then other operators haven't followed them through. We have a very clear audit of everything that we've received from any operator and timestamp everything that we move through. So no, we follow everything to the process. Yes, our network is completely open. We have 160 partners buying services across our network, and they provide that to their end customers. Thank you for listening. I personally wanted to come on and give you the facts about this issue, and I hope that's been useful.